down to pentatonic. Now, you probably are familiar with some elements of the pentatonic scale, but I want you to understand how they are actually related to each other. So we're going to look at the major pentatonic and the minor pentatonic, and we're going to relate them to the major and the minor, C major and A minor, that we've been talking about. So to begin with, let's just start with the C major scale that we've been working with. Now, what we're going to do with that C major scale is we're going to remove the 4th and 7th degrees to make it into pentatonic. When we take out those two notes, it makes the scale much more generic and useful in a more broad range, which is why we do that, okay? So, eventually here we're going to get into talking a little bit about modes and stuff like this. When we remove those notes, it also removes some of the issues that we run into with, well, were we in this, or were we in this scale, or were we in this mode? When we take the 4th and the 7th degree out, it just makes it more compatible with a lot more situations. So if we think about it, now with the C major, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. We're going to take out the 4 and the 7. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1. So we wind up with this. And that's what it sounds like. Now we've lost the half steps, right? We don't have those half steps anymore because we took the 4th degree out. So the 3rd and 4th, there's no half step. And we took the 7th degree out, so the 7th and 8th, there's no half step there. So the pentatonic scale has no half steps. It's got whole steps or even larger than that, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of configure this, and then we're going to build it out, and you've probably seen this a couple of different ways. But instead of playing it like this, which is perfectly fine, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it like this, which you may have seen before. Same notes. Or we could even play it like this. Now this might be the shape that you're familiar with, and this is what we're going to start with. Understand, I just took these notes and I moved them and moved them just to create another shape. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look at that shape right there. And what I'm actually playing, now that I've removed the 4th and 7th degrees, I've got C, D, E, G, A, and C. And that makes my C major pentatonic. Okay, and notice how I'm starting on my pinky right now. Okay, so I'm starting on with my pinky on the root, on the C, and I'm building it up. Now, if you remember our rule of the relative minor that we did with A minor, what we did was we took all the notes of the C major, but we just started on the A and created A minor. So if we played from C to C, it sounded like C major. If we played from A to A using the same notes of C major, it then sounded like A minor. So we're going to do the same thing here with the pentatonic. So instead of starting on the note C and playing to the note C, I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to start on A and play to the A. And I've got A minor. So it's so important to understand that C major and A minor, or whatever relative major and minor you're working with, are the same notes. They generate the same chords. It's just, what are you emphasizing, okay? Because now if we take a look at this from the sort of opposite side, oftentimes what I teach people to do is I teach them to play minor pentatonic first, and then understand how major pentatonic comes from minor pentatonic, and then I expand it out into the major diatonic world. Well, you're actually working the logical way. You started with diatonic, and now we're converting back to pentatonic. But let me explain that logic to you so it makes sense to you, and then let's build this out. So if I start on A, and we know that A minor 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Okay, has 7 notes. Well, A minor pentatonic only has 5 notes. So what happened to the other 2 notes of the minor side? Okay, well, we got rid of the second note. We got rid of that one. And we got rid of the 6th one. We got rid of that one. Okay, so here's what I want you to think about. In C major, we got rid of the 4th and the 7th. So what notes would those be? C, D, E, F, G, A, B. We got rid of F and B, which was the 4th and the 7th in C major. On the minor side, we get rid of the 2nd and the 6th. Well, what are those notes? A, B, C, D, E, F, B and F. Which makes sense, right? Because A minor and C major are the same thing. So we're just dumping the same notes on both sides. We're dumping a B and we're dumping an F. That's all that's happening, okay? So from the pentatonic world, what we do is we think of minor pentatonic, the first position of minor pentatonic. We think about starting it with our first finger. So if I wanted A minor pentatonic, I would play this. If I wanted G minor pentatonic, I'd move down to G and play the exact same thing, which we've learned we can move these around because of the construct. If I wanted F sharp minor, I'd move down to F sharp. But let's go back to A minor, which is the key we were originally in. So if I wanted C major, I put my pinky on C, and I play from C to C. So C major and A minor are the same scale. They're the same scale. If I want A minor, I start with my first finger. If I want C major, I start with my pinky. Well, what if I wanted A major? Well, I could move down to A with my pinky, which means I'm also in F sharp minor. F sharp minor and A major are the same scale. They're the same key. Okay? If I wanted B major, I'd put my pinky on B, okay? And my minor then would be G sharp or A flat minor. If I wanted D minor, okay, so D, I got to put my first finger on D. Whenever I want minor, I put my first finger on it. If I want major, I put my pinky on it. That's how I visualize this, kind of the reverse way. So if I want a D minor, I put my first finger on it, which means it's the same as the F major. If I want D minor, okay, and if I want to make it diatonic, I can add back in those notes again. If I want major, I can add those notes back in too. You see, it's pretty cool. So if you understand that the biggest thing for me for teaching people is whenever somebody says you're in a minor key, if you understand that you're really in a major key, but what major key are you in? That will tell you what chords you have. It'll help you set up your entire fretboard, all that sort of thing. Okay? Oftentimes, or vice versa, if you're in D major and you go, well, I don't really know my major very well. I know minor pentatonic really well. Well, your minor pentatonic is relative, right? So if somebody says, go ahead and solo in D major, and you go, I don't really know D major, but you know B minor pentatonic because you've been working on your minor pentatonics, it'll still work, okay? You might have to make some, reformations with the notes that you're trying to emphasize and things like that. But again, that's where all these other ideas come in. That's what's so cool about it, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to build out the C major, A minor pentatonic shapes for you as well so you can see this whole thing, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by I'm going to go up to A with my pinky on C, and I'm just going to refer to this as my first position, okay? A minor pentatonic right here, and this is what it looks like. It goes 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. Now, understanding that same thing is also C major if I emphasize my pinky note. I just need to be aware that the A's are there and the C's are there. So as I'm playing, I can emphasize A or C if I need to, okay? So I'm going to just refer to that position as the first position for both A minor and C major. If you want to look at it a little bit differently, you certainly can, but I like people to be able to see how they really are the same thing. A minor and C major really are the same thing. So that first position right there, it's first position for minor and first position for major.